What's going on? We'll be starting here shortly. A little bit of a late start today. All right. Mic check. Mic's working. Stream kilobytes look decent. All righty. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in here. I am set, ready to go. Let's see. Let's zoom in back to the daily. All right. What's going on, y'all? It's Z-Rex. It is no noise time. It's Friday, the 23rd of 2023 in February, like 11:30 something, or 11:40 actually in the AM. I'm a little late today. Sorry about that. But better late than never, right? Anyway, plenty to talk about today. A lot of price action, mostly selling pressure, pretty decent selling pressure from last video, getting a little bit of follow through from the Bears. So let's just get a start the rundown here and see what the hell's happening. What the shit, Bulls? Why are you doing this? How could you? Let me change this to a dotted line. Just kind of cleans the chart up a little bit. All right. So here's Bitty Bitcoin. The corn, Mama Bear, whatever you like to call it. Getting follow through from Wednesday's stream. We were kind of a little cautious that bulls are just getting back under 24,000, building momentum back to the downside. And it looks like we're getting follow through now. We're almost did this tap 23. Let's see the lows. Wow, the low is if you look up here, you can see the open, high, low, close values. The low literally is exactly to the penny, $23,000. That is the level that I'm watching to pivot a little more bearishly if we break that. And it literally went to the dollar or to the penny. Actually, I didn't notice that. How silly is that? Anyway, so again, best case scenario. What's going on, Diego? Hope you're having an awesome Friday. What's going on, Izudin? Mr. 92, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Man, so yeah, this kind of sucks for the Bulls a little bit, but still holding on just barely at 23,000 flat. Just like Wednesday's video, we start getting comfy below 23K. Man, that's gonna start to look pretty gnarly, guys. And I would be very, very cautious on further upside, and probably would be looking for a test down to upper 21s. And give me one sec, hold on. Ah, damn it. Oh, sorry about that. And I would be looking for a test probably to the 21 area and test this local low. And that's the ultimate line in the sand. 23 is like kind of the little intermediate, shorter term time frames. But we start taking out this area here. I mean, that could be making lower lows on the daily. And this could just be turning into a big distribution pattern. And that would be possibly setting up for testing, back over here in the upper teens. Let's look at the weekly. And it's really the same shit, different day. Until Bitcoin gets this weekly close, yes, it does look good. We're above the 21. It's been over a month now. That's very good. That's constructive by the bulls. But the problem is we've got to get the open and close to confirm that this isn't just some bullshit, bear trap, little bear market rally action. And we're not getting confirmation of that. Yes, it only has been a couple of weeks of really testing it up here, but there's no momentum. What are bulls supposed to do? They're supposed to make price go up. That's what we were talking about on Wednesday's video. They're not really doing that. They've been struggling under 25K. We're getting pulled back down, and so now I'm kind of like this is very neutral range for me. Instead of cautiously bullish, I'm a little bit more neutral now. And I'd say until we get back above 24 or we're back below like 23,000, a little bit lower, it's kind of just a bunch of fuckery over here. How did I learn trading? I learned trading from experience pretty much. I've been doing it probably like 10 years almost now. Yeah, about 10 years. I just got into it from friends around me, a coworker, a boss of mine back in the day did it, and I kind of just saw him doing it, and I've just been trading pretty much ever since then. I did take a little bit of a break. I think in 15, I took probably like almost a year off, like 10 months. But yeah, just from experience, man, really. I think that's the best way to learn trading is just making the trades. You can listen to a lot of people and try to take courses or whatever the hell your educational path is, but really the best way, just like it's not anything different than other trades, I guess pun intended. You've got to just get the experience, man. And what's cool about trading now is you can trade with like low amounts of money, especially like in crypto. You don't even need that much money. Back when I was like first starting, you needed a decent amount of capital to kind of start, like maybe a couple grand. But hell, now you can get in with like a couple $100 and play around and just make some real trades. Even though they're small, think of it like percentages. Anyway, Bitcoin. Futures, same thing. Mega resistance here. The mama, the 55, the 200. It's just the same kind of shit, different day here, guys. Why me offline? I don't know what that means, Azudin. You learned from YouTube? Yeah, YouTube University, baby. So is this just a retest too of the little consolidation zone right here before continuation? It could be. It could be. And as long as it holds 23K, maybe that's a slight edge in this, but getting below a 24 comfortably now. We got the open and close yesterday, and we're getting follow through today. I'm kind of neutral-ish now until we get above 24 again or back below 23, because this bitch could run real hard either way at this point now. Let's see how the future's going to close. Yeah, just kind of nothing too crazy there. Still up under the major resistance. How about... All right, GBDC is barely holding on here. If it can close above like 1120 like we've been kind of talking about this week, that'd be okay. Because you have this nice engulfing candle from the sellers trying to get in from the last 2 weeks. But it's just, man, I don't know. Kind of sucks. Especially with the equities. NASDAQ is testing, like 12,000 now. And it's actually below it now. I mean, we're getting a lot of sell pressure. They're talking about raising rates even more. Everyone's getting all freaked out. It's killing bonds more. We'll get to that in a little bit, but there's just still a lot of headwinds, BitO, it's kind of just a sloppy chart. I don't really think that this isn't too particularly valuable to look at. All right, Ethereum, unicorn shirt, man. So just quick wrap up on Bitcoin. Pretty much 24 and 23,000 range. And I know that's a tight range, but we're in a really critical area here. So we start getting Momo on either side of that range. It's probably going to go pretty quickly and violently. Ethereum kind of just hanging out under the trend line. Still can't really get anything going. Let's go zoom into the daily. Struggled right at the trend line, kind of failing so far, but look where it went. We've been watching like 1580-ish. Literally, I mean, almost to the T. Went to this horizontal and this little mama line here. So maybe this is the liquidation break before taking off. But to be fair, man, this liquidation break to get more momentum and for the bulls to run, they didn't take any of that. And now we're just rolling over. No momentum really on the RSI or anything. You can see like we couldn't even get into the mid 60s on this. So not really super sexy for the bulls. And the longer it kind of starts doing this, and if we kind of start just making lower highs again and lower lows, it'll really start to look like distribution, which we kind of slightly mentioned on Wednesday. Let's go look at Ethereum futures. Yeah, pretty much nothing too crazy there. I guess one could argue this is kind of like some kind of flag type formation right here. You're like this. It's a little sloppy. But right now, price action and price structure kind of trumps everything. And we can just see this looking left, right? It's almost the same shit, different day on Ethereum and Bitcoin for quite a while now. But crypto likes to do that. It likes to really slow bleed it, if you will. So 24, 23 on Bitcoin, 1580-ish to about 1680-ish on Ethereum. That hasn't changed. We haven't got any new data to really suggest there's anything different there. Litecoin is actually breaking its trend line now. This is kind of ugly. It hasn't done this since, back in the fall last year. I mean, you can see this little triangle of death in the Bermuda Triangle for the bulls to get past this. This is mega resistance. We've been mentioning it for a lot in the lower 100s. And we're about to make a lower low now. I mean, we're on the cusp of breaking down on this chart, which is about $90. We get any kind of bodies, probably even like lower time frame candles, 4 hours, closing, open and closing below $90. Man, that could easily, let's pull some fib. Let's get some fib action. That could easily open the door up to about $80 roughly. So, and then you really have to question all of this bullish momentum and hope that the $80 handle will hold as a giant liquidation break before continuation. But that's a lot of just speculation and forecasting. Really, forecasting isn't like the best thing to do. It's best to just watch price and kind of follow what the price is saying. And right now it's saying be a little extra more cautious than we already have been. We've been bullish, cautiously bullish for the last few weeks, but now it's bull or bears are warranting a little bit more attention, I guess you will. Let's see here. Chop Fest 3000. Yeah, sorry, it might be a little bit slower today. My brain is a little bit lagged. Some buddies were in town last night, and we had a little parlay action. Oh yeah, just sipping some of that green tea, baby. I hope you're enjoying your favorite drink with us as well while we're nerding out. Ping pong range 3000 on Ethereum Classic. As long as it's holding 20, it's still in this range mode. It's been in it for almost the entire year. So direction on this, you can't really get directional until this thing breaks above 23 or below 20. Until then, it has been an amazing range trade. Mr. Market's given you the opportunity to buy and short this range numerous times. So pretty nice. Range trading is pretty cool. Just remember when it breaks the range to don't get married to that position, because that's how you get murdered. You're like, wait, no, it's coming back into the range this time, and then that's when it breaks out and goes freaking 50% in that direction, and then that destroys you. So don't do that. Whenever range trading is great until it's not. That's kind of the saying for range trading. It works until it doesn't. Let's see, XRP, man, this is just dead ass sideways crap. We're actually getting back comfy below the 21. I mean, sub 38 cents, really about sub 38, 39 cents. I don't like this chart. This is starting to look pretty nasty. We made a lower low here. We're making lower highs. Daily is flipped a little bit bearish, and momentum will really start to pick up anywhere below like 36 and a half pennies. So not too sexy for Brad Garlic Bread over there. Kind of the same story with Stellar, although it doesn't have the lower low yet. That's about 8.5 pennies. It's in the middle of all this cluster F. So very hard to be directional on this. Doji, follow through, continuation. I mean, it's pretty textbook here. Bears are challenging the Bulls hardcore at this point. And look at this. We're still well below the 21. XLM couldn't even get above it. Like it tried today. Or I guess this week. Sorry. It tried this week. But immediate rejection right here. So, it's just meh is what that is. Let's see. Are we getting a little bit of topping action here? Yeah, we did have an engulfing Tuesday. Couple indecision candles follow through. You know, Momo, I said that kind of funny. Momo on this is kind of gone sub 7 cents until it gets back above 7. Meh. We got major resistance here at the Mama, but we start clearing 7. That's when this target opens up to about 10ish pennies to 14 pennies. So, and what changes my idea for that? Any price action getting back comfy below like 6.4 cents or so, kind of like the upper part of this cluster, would not look good. But I mean, with Mama Bear selling off, I mean, of course, all these are going to be pretty much looking the same, coming back to test the late January clusters. Nothing really new on this one. This one actually, I guess, is attempting to break above the 21, but so far it's getting rejected. Kind of nasty. Sub 6.3 looks pretty gross. The best case, again, like we were just mentioning on Bitcoin, is we're just doing another liquidation break. So that's a pretty fast liquidation break, to be fair. That's a little bit warranting some more caution. This is starting to look a little bit more rounded area. We're building kind of a distribution rounded top. Anything back below 3.5 pennies on Mr. Hodgkinson's, no bueno, no bueno. Conversely, to the upside, it really needs to gain back above 40 to really get sexy time. Link is kind of chilling. Look at this, ping-ponging inside of its blue box, the blue box of rangeness. Couldn't even get outside of it like it did the last 3 times. That's pretty weak sauce. I mean, this is tough, man. It's probably coming back to test the middle of this box again. I mean, it's done it how many times now? Like 100, pretty much. So, really got to get open and closes above 840, man. And even then, when it does that, you can see it runs to about 940-ish and then has mega uber resistance, which we can just throw up a horizontal up there. And that would be the ultimate macro flipping point. You get above 940, and that probably opens up the door to test this area at around $13, $14. Let's see here. EOS. Oh, look, it's doing the same thing. This one looks a little bit better structure-wise because it did get this exciting pump up, and now it is just coming to retest right here. You do have the 21 and the 200 and all of this business price structure, so that's not terrible. Getting comfy back below 110, I would start to really question momentum on EOS. I don't even think anyone cares about EOS. I might need to swap that one out with a better coin. That's an old school coin right there. Let's see here. We got a little trend line there. Hey, so maybe we're just retesting this. This looks okay above the trend line. Bitcoin Cash. Man, it did end up going to the lower 50s. Nice little pump there. But Doji follow through, kind of like a lot of these altcoins. You know, with Bitcoin not being able to stay above 24K, it's going to start putting sell pressure on most of the altcoins. So let's see. BSV. Oh man. Poor BSV, y'all. BSV can just not do anything. Like, geez. BSV starts to get super heavy below $40, man. That is absolute brutal fest. It just is bleeding out. The one thing it does have is the RSIs above these gray special little moving averages I have on it. So I guess maybe that's something. Yeah, this is a tough one. I guess it kind of is ranging, so you could kind of sloppily draw a little blue box range here and say, if it's on the lower end, close to 40, maybe it's not the worst entry. It's only about 3% risk. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll buy some of this over the weekend. I'm not sure. I have to kind of really keep my eyes on Bitcoin, but this poor Satoshi's vision. The vision isn't really working at this moment. So really got to get above $45. And this thing is going to run someday. Someday. It will be a good trade. Just not quite yet. Man, XMR. Okay, but hey, check this out. There is an H pattern on HMR right here. And we did the H pattern discussion on Wednesday, I believe. Maybe it was Tuesday. It was this week at some point. But we do have a pretty defined H pattern right here on Monero. which technically actually is hard to short into, is kind of what they stand for. So if it's holding kind of this level right around here, which is that 148, 150-ish level, and I do like that this has confluence with structure and also with the 200 moving average right below it. Right here, that's the dotted kind of grayish white line that we're sitting on. These patterns generally are bullish. So the way you would read this, because a lot of people don't talk about the H pattern, is they are pretty cool patterns because you know fairly quickly if they're going to play out or not. So you either get a little bit of hangout here and then kind of immediate follow through, open and close below the bottom of the H, and then the target is just whatever the line of the H is right here. So that would probably put us down over here around 130. But a lot of times what happens with these is you get a bounce and it goes back up and immediately comes up like this or something. And as soon as you get back above the little hump of the H, that's where the technical buy is on that. And then your stop is pretty much somewhere, whatever your kind of risk tolerance is. So many different ways to skin the market cat. So whatever you're kind of comfortable with, but it's generally somewhere in the top end of the range of the hump as a stop. And a lot of times these things will get continuation after clearing that. And what's cool is that should happen within like less than 5 candles. It's a very small amount of candles, because if it just starts doing this for another 5, 6, 7 candles, then it's not an H anymore, right? So the pattern's negated. So that's the coolest thing about this pattern. It is one of my favorites, and you don't see it too often, but one of the rare ones. So hey man, holding one upper 140s, we get any kind of pushback and really start clearing that 158, I would be actually looking for this to get continuation. So if that happens, look out for a nice move up. Conversely, though, for bears, you start getting open and closes below 148, that is heavy sauce. I would be looking for more downside pressure. Let's see here. We do have like a little bit of a trend line, kind of like this. Something like that. Could someone call this like a real sloppy ascending triangle? Yeah, I guess you could. You could call it that. You also could call this a false breakout too, which, man, talking about making it more confusing. There's no Momo, just confusion. Zcash is not really able to get much going here. Did for a couple of days. Immediately gets rejected. But as long as it's riding up this trend line, it's okay. And this trend line's not super steep either, so that's nice. Sub like $44, no bueno, because that breaks all the trend lines. It'll start sloping them all back down and loses some structure. So that would be pretty fugly. But as it stands, maybe it's okay. As y'all know, I don't really like taking too many trades between long and short-term moving averages. It's just the odds are not in your favor a lot of times. It's like 50-50 bets at best. Dash kind of just petering up here. It does still look okay above $65, so kind of one of the outliers. Bulls really need to defend like that 63 to 65 area. They do that, and this thing actually does look pretty good. This is one of the outliers. This one has a better chart than most of the cryptos, to be fair. Elon dump fest. Everyone was talking about some dumb cryptic Elon tweet. I don't know. I thought it was kind of stupid, but it almost even sounded like he could have sold his Dogecoin. I don't know. Obviously, the market didn't like it, because when Elon tweets something about about Dogecoin, it usually rallies pretty hard, and it didn't do jack shit. So I think he said something along the lines of like, oh, what the hell was it? I don't even remember. Doge is out, or I'm out of the, who let the Doge out, or I'm out of Doge or something. I don't know. It was pretty stupid. But apparently no one cared. We didn't get any price action from it. Now we're just in between the long and short-term moving averages. They're dead flat, almost all of them. Flat on the mama, flat on the 21, 55, 200. We are at the line in the sand here at about 8 pennies. Getting comfy below 8 pennies on this is no bueno, and I would look for probably at least lower 7s, and then we'll have to assess the situation there. And until this hasn't changed either, until bulls get really above 9 pennies, it's just not super sexy. Thought we'd be getting a little more follow through on this, but no bueno. Hex coin. Hex coin is just like dumping and pumping this trend line for the last, I don't know, a couple of weeks. It just keeps doing it, barely riding it. Almost broke down here, staying above it. This is pretty damn funny. Massive, massive vertical move. This one more than likely is going to come back and test like 4 cents at some point, maybe 42 cents. Hell yeah. But major resistance where it came up here at 69. Look at that. It's memeing out, dude. 69 and 42 are pretty much the is its range. That's hilarious. Hex coin, meme coin 3000. It will never take Doge's spot, but regardless, pretty funny that it's about 69 and 42 for the range. And we are at the top, upper end of that range. Until we break 69 cents, you know, it's probably exhausted a little bit and we need a little bit of a break. But hey, anything can happen. If it clears 69, I mean, the next point of resistance is all the way up here at about 11.5 pennies. And yes, if you don't know, I know this says like million or whatever the shit it is. It's some stupid problem with TradingView. It's not putting in the feed right, but this is pennies. Just put a decimal after the first number. Yeah, there's no way Hexcoin Richard Hart has a $5 million token, right? That would be crazy. H&T kind of just struggle fest. You can even see there's no momentum. Usually I get these little crosses right here on my candle algo, but it's just literally been flip-flopping. And there's like literally no momentum now either way, and which shows also in price structure because we're smack in the middle of most of the year's price action, except for that out the gate pump that pretty much everything had. Any tradable pretty much did that. VeChain getting a little bit more sell pressure today, off about 13% from the highs. You can see it just tested over here last summer's high. You know, it's still above the 21, and maybe it's just coming back to retest kind of the upper parts of this structure at about 2.5 pennies. So could just be a little mini liquidation. But again, these weeklies, man, they're all right up under major resistance. So the bulls still got plenty of work to do. Atom kind of rolling over here, broke the trend line, attempted to rally. Looks like this is probably right to the 618 as well, if I had to guess. It looks about like that. Yeah, so right around the 618, getting rejections. We actually are attempting to make, or bears are attempting to make a lower low on structure right now. So if this actually closes below like 13.10, that's technically going to be a lower low on that. And it's going to look pretty nasty. No momentum, and bears are trying to gain the power zone here. So this looks pretty, probably one of the more worst charts that we've looked at. Osmos, nasty rejection. It did get a pump. What is that? Let's zoom in a little bit. What the hell? Oh, that's just some bullshit candle here. Look at this crap on a 7-minute 1 to 124. Okay. So whatever. This probably could be a bad tick or something. Who knows? But sub 108, meh. And man, last line of sand here is about 94 pennies. We start getting below that, man. It just kind of opens up the abyss, really. I mean, there's not much support until all the way down at 70. Pretty nasty. Tron, indecision, follow through after an attempted breakout. It was looking pretty good on Wednesday's candle, but now with 2 more days and just right back at the tops of this range with no follow through by the bulls, couldn't even get above this magenta candle or any of this cluster on bodies. Pretty weak sauce, man. We start getting back below mid 220s. Probably test this trend line, and it's just kind of gross below 250-ish, man. Not too good. XRD, oh yeah, some Radix. It probably doesn't look good either. Let's see. Nah, I mean, it looks pretty much like the same stuff as all the other things, kind of going and retesting the fall area. It does kind of have a sloppy H pattern here, so line in the sand on this is about 4.4 cents. Below 4.4 cents, I mean, it just is going to go back into this big range between probably like 3.5 and 4.2 pennies. Otherwise, I mean, overall, this chart is pretty shitty, to be fair. Longer term, yeah, major resistance at about 5 cents on the macro. But hey, bulls could defend right here in the mid 4 pennies and get some, just could be just a liquidation break for some pumpage. But watching that Bitcoin, I think, is very important, especially since we did get to the 23,000 area. So let's see. Let me look at something real quick. All right. Oh, all right. Let's get to majors. ES Dump Fest. We are right on the trend line right here now, right on the 200, just below the mama. This is pretty nasty selling pressure. Will it get caught here by the bulls? This would be the spot to catch it. If they got momentum, they should definitely be defending this area. I know the 3980 is the pivot point we were looking for shorter term. And then 3,900 is kind of the macro. Sub 3,900 on this, it starts to get, the bears really start to get momentum on that. Let me make this dotted too, because there we go. Just makes the chart look more better. Yeah, sub 3,900, real nasty for macro. Right now, though, in this little zone, there could be a pretty good relief rally from here, and this could just be a liquidation break to make another higher low, right? Markets move in sine waves, so most of the time, sometimes it does just move straight down like natural gas does. But it's got this up-down action. It's maybe a good spot for some buys. I'm thinking about putting some buys on some call spreads for next week, actually. Same thing here. The trend line isn't very sexy, though, on this one, but it does have the same type of structure looking left, just kind of retesting the tops of all that. And it is right around the 55 as well. So let's see what this fib is real quick. Yeah, and right around the 382. So this is definitely bounce territory. Right around this 12,000 area, which is the line in the sand that we've been mentioning for a little while. The ugliest chart by far is the Dow. So the Dow is actually saying, watch the F out. We're getting a little bearish. You've got this engulfing guy right here. We got, sorry, not continuation, acceptance the last 2 days after this engulfing candle. And now we're getting follow through. Like we literally breached into this next little zone, like we were mentioning on Wednesday, between about 32 and 33.5, like 32.7, sorry, and 33.5. And now we're actually breaching 32. So think about that for a second, what this price is telling us. If we just look at these candles for a second, going all the way back to November, we are breaking structure on all these bodies. That is pretty significant. And you can see how this has no momentum, right? For the whole year, it didn't rally really hard like everything else did. It just went sideways as F. And we start getting more comfy below this level here that we're at, and really about this 32.5. I mean, the next test is 31.6 on this. And that looks pretty nasty. That is, bears are really trying, man, oh, look at this weekly. This weekly is actually pretty gross. Mama's barely holding on to it right about 32.3. But look at this weekly is going to take out all this business, no follow through. It's actually going to chop through 4 layers of resistance or of support right here, these 2 moving averages, and this one. And that's assuming it closes down here. This market's been whipsaw nation, so it goes 1-2% intraday like 3 times like normally. That's pretty crazy. But so yeah, this could rally up, but if this closes below this 32.8 level like this, pretty nasty weekly candle for sure. Let's go to the rut. What's the rut doing? Rut's right on the mama, right on the other side of this trend line. Let's get rid of some of these trend lines. We don't need them anymore. That one we don't need. That one we don't need. This one we don't need. It's all old news. That one we don't need. I'll kind of leave this one on here for now, because it looks like we're kind of riding down it right at this moment. But man, sub 1900. Oh, excuse me, sub 1900. It's kind of bearish. We just got the little cluster saving us possibly here in the mama. So this is the ultimate test right here for the bulls. They're coming to test and knock on the door. Will they be able to knock it down? The bears is the question here. So this is the strongest layers of defense for a lot of them at support levels, even in some of the crypto coins we looked at. So we just got a lot of confluence around the market in general, which is kind of crazy. It's like they're all correlated or something. Dow Jones back in the box here of the range box. We're right in the middle of it. Again, best case scenario, we're kind of just selling off and retesting some of structure. DAX is actually, this is nasty on DAX. Staying up here for all these days and getting this gnarly follow through candle, breaking the trend line and negating all the way, pretty much this entire months of business. Let's look at the weekly. Yeah, just kind of ping ponging around here. 21 EMA is way down here at 14.5. This is kind of looking like it wants to get geared up to go test that. Especially with this candle closing, or if it does close nasty like this, I'd be looking for a test back over to the like low 14,000s. And if that happens, that's probably going to carry over to our markets as well. VIX pumping. It is struggling to stay around 22. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see. VVIX isn't really doing much. Yeah, it's struggling to stay around 22. As long as it's staying above 22-ish, I do think we have to be a little extra cautious for bears kind of slipping in. But even with the sell-off today, you know, it's not really picking up any more steam than it did earlier in the week, so that's interesting. Not really much new info on that. Oil bouncing off the lows. Hey, look at this. Okay, so this was getting bearish on Wednesday's stream. But the bulls did defend this, and we were actually talking about making this a little bit higher low, higher low, higher low. And is this another higher low for some price action to the upside? Very well could be. That's a good defense. The only thing that sucked about it is it made a lower high right here. So this is getting real. It's a funny pattern, I'll tell you that. I guess you could argue this is some kind of weird like head and shoulders inside of here. I mean, that is pretty textbook. Happening at the bottom of a range is pretty interesting. Those usually happen like at the tops of big moves. But yeah, so if this ends up making a higher low right here and we start getting back above like $77, $78, man, that might give the bulls some good momentum on this. This is kind of interesting. That it's making these incrementally higher lows. Very interesting. And back above $80, man, I think if they do that within the next month or two, it could get pumping McPumps in time. And I'd be looking for a test of the 200 or kind of in the middle of this cluster up here, you know, mid upper 80s. So interesting spot for oil. Nat gas doing something cool. Look at this doji candle we talked about on Wednesday, saying if this prints like this, it's got the volume, it has the signature, it just needs to close above like 210. We did get it just barely. I mean, just barely at like 213. And look at this hammer candle. It's the best candle we were saying on the show on Wednesday that this whole structure has seen the entire time. So in 70, 80 days, this was the candle that looked the best. And we did get nice follow through. 20% pump, y'all. Look at that shit. Sometimes TA Voodoo works. Pumps up, and now we're back in this range. So it does have a gap here. Definitely noteworthy that there's a gap there. But this is actually going to be starting to look a lot better above 240-ish now. So if we stay above about 240, this could have some momentum to get, you know, kind of up to the mama. Let's go to the weekly actually and give us a better idea. Oh my God, the 21 weekly is all the way up at 440. Holy shit balls. What the hell? It's 40% away. That is a lot. That might be this one might be it right here. Let's see. It's like a record since the futures contract changed. Oh my God. Freaking click it, bro. 30 looks to be kind of the farther. Let's go to just nat gas. If we do this on the spot price, maybe we can find one. Here's probably one right here. Nope, 30. It's usually around 30. Interesting. So usually around 30-ish% at the extreme levels, and we are at 40%. So You know, if this and this weekly actually looks pretty good. I like this weekly hammer candle, and we got the daily hammer candle right here. This is actually shaping up to possibly be a good bottom in nat gas. Also, weekly having good confluence on that 240 area. So this is starting to become a pretty a much higher probability long trade on nat gas with those levels. So that is interesting. I might be taking some of those, and that could be a freaking mega pump here. So bonds not looking too great. Kind of sucks. They just are continuing to sell off notes, and this is because the rate hikes. They're saying they're going to do 50 points or 75, or we're not ever stopping. We're hiking rates to the 80s. It's going to be like freaking what 15% interest rates and shit. But pretty wild. They're just selling off. TMF, weirdly enough, is the 3x of that, and it's staying still, but you can see it is making a descending triangle here. Oh my goodness, I can't draw it. It is making like a descending triangle here, so got to be careful with that. If this does break, the target is definitely going to be here testing these lows, so that is interesting there. Bonds are kind of confirming that they are going to keep the rates higher and maybe hike a little more than people think, which, I mean, no shit. I mean, inflation is still crazy. I mean, y'all go to the grocery store, y'all know. I went to Buc-ee's. It's like a pretty famous gas station down here in Texas. And I went last night, and like all the prices of their food are up again, like 12%. Like they used to have burritos there and chicken taco things for $3 to $6, and now they're all $5 to $12. It's pretty crazy, man. And that was just in the last, because I go out there pretty often to where there's this one in Bastrop, and dude, that was like not even probably a month, and they raised them up another 10-15%. So it's getting to the point where I don't even buy that shit. I'm like, dude, I'm not paying $10 for like one little barbecue sandwich. I mean, that's just too crazy, man. So clearly inflation isn't slowing down. I mean, I know they've changed the way they calculate CPI like 3 times in the last year. So whatever. Just watch the markets. The markets, especially the bonds markets, that's freaking retarded talk there. The bond market is pretty good at calling bullshit on the Fed, if you will. And here we go, watching this TNX, which we've been talking about. If it broke 370, watch out on equities. It's come true. Here we are, getting smacked on. Now we're even coming up to test 4. This thing starts getting comfy above 4, man. Watch out. I think the next Fed meeting is in mid-March. Man, that could be bringing in the pain. Can I teach you some basics? What's going on, Bilal Mohsen? I could teach you some basics. I'm not. I could send you some links for some basics too. There's a couple good websites if depending what you're trying to do. The pattern site is really good for learning candle patterns and structures and stuff like that. There's a YouTuber that has some pretty good beginner videos, and he's knows his shit, and he's talking about and what he's talking about. I could send a link for that. I haven't really thought about doing like really basic stuff like videos or anything yet. I have gotten that question quite a few times, so I might try to do really basic stuff. I do have a video on my YouTube if you look for setting up a chart, like how I like to look at charts, and everybody's different. I'm not saying you should do it that way. I don't care how you do it, but because everyone kind of sees the chart slightly different. But I do have that on there. You can just look on my video section. And I think I have a playlist on there too of some beginner stuff. If not, I could DM you some things too, man. But that's a good basic stuff. And also, just don't overthink it too. I would say don't put a lot of indicators on your chart at first. Put a couple moving averages. I think the 21 at 200 and like some kind of medium term one. I like the 55. and just kind of put those on and look at dailies, and that's it. You know, maybe daily and weeklies. Don't get into crack time frames. That's really dangerous. Um, so, you know, I guess that's kind of just in a real nutshell, just keeping it real simple. There's just so many different ways to go in investment and finance stuff that, you know, I have to have a little bit more information to kind of guide you on that, because that could be a Pandora's box and infinite conversation about that. So feel free to DM me and maybe be a little bit more specific, and I can try to guide you a little bit more from there. Because the basics of investing is, I mean, that's a very broad question for sure, man. But I'd be more than welcome to help you out. Just shoot me a DM and I'll with a little bit more specifics, and we'll go from there. Oh, you know what I didn't do, guys? I'm sorry. I did not post that TNX chart on my ideas thing. I will get that up and post that. Let me make a note of that, actually. Post TNX historical vol flash performance. And I might put it on the Substack. I might not put it on here because it's a little bit harder to do pictures and things on my ideas. So I'll try to do that. Anyway, Dixie pumping. Look at this. Dixie was looking nice and sexy on Wednesday's stream. Was saying we're looking for some follow through. We are getting it. Major resistance at 106. We'll see what happens there. But again, dollar bonds are saying now rates be going up, yo. Rates be going up, yo. 105 is the support. It's kind of funny that it's almost the same for Dixie and Euro. Well, that's pretty much the two main currencies, really. So I guess it's not that surprising. Gold death got back below this 1888 level. It's been down ever since. Just slow dribble. Also confirming rate fears is what I mean. You know, rates go up. People don't want to hold gold. Why would you do that when you can put it in 6 months treasuries and get like 5-6%? You know, gold doesn't pay dividends or any of that shit. It's only appreciation. So, is it just testing the middle of this range? Possibly. We are right at the 21 and 55, and in the middle of all this cluster. But doesn't look super great. Silver getting below, getting below that 22, man, and comfy. Now we're even testing all the way down here to 20. Best case scenario, like some of the crypto charts, we're just retesting some of the structure over here, but this is kind of looking bad. Platinum selling off 37 bucks, right in the mama saucer right here. This is the last line of defense on it. Anything below 900 easily opens the doors to low 800s and beyond. And really, kind of obviously, if this trend line breaks or we get back above that like 950 area, kind of have to just, I mean, man, look at this 950 rejection. It looked really good yesterday. Acceptance, and rejection below all this. So this is actually setting up to be pretty nasty. Precious metals confirming also concerns about rate hikes. GDX, look at this, to the horizontal and to the abyss. Look at, man, this is a big move, 32 to 55, brutal. All right, I think that's it. Oh yeah, I gotta go here soon and pick up the kiddo from school. So let's just go look. Yeah, top traded, everything's kind of selling off. Let's look at sector majors. Everything is selling off. Bondage. Let's go look at municipals. Municipals getting heavy. Let's see. Corporate bonds are breaking out of this channel. Rising channels usually break to the downside, so now we have broken it. This is starting to look real ugly below 74 bucks. Also very rate sensitive here. So, man, interesting. Getting follow through on here. You know, it sucks too, is this is like bearish divergence like all over these charts on especially crypto stuff. And now it seems like they're trying to come to fruition here a little bit. So extra caution is warranted now. I was just slightly cautiously bullish before, but now after this week is closed up, it's kind of moving me to be a little bit more, way more cautious. So interesting. All right, so quick wrap up on this biatch. Bitcoin, stay above 23, dude. You start getting comfy below 23, you really start to question all of this momentum that's being built. And really between 23 and 24,000 is just kind of a no-go zone for me. Ethereum, kind of the same shit, different day, 1580, 1680, and really this trend line too. Till we kind of break that, it's just testing it, man. I know it does look good. It's above the 21, but it's just like it's not taking out structure, and price structure trumps everything. It's going to be the first thing to react. You know, all these indicators are laggards, so they take data from, you know, an aggregate time, X amount of days or X amount of candles prior to printing any of the info. So they're all slightly laggards, and price action will be the first and fastest thing to respond. And so it's attempting to do it. So I'm just a little more extra cautiously bullish at this point with how this week is closing. 1580, 1680 is ping pong range. Until we get out of there, I don't want to declare too much momentum because price isn't dictating that yet. It's just kind of confused and hanging out here. A little indecisive market we got. Bears trying to creep up into Litecoin. I think that's probably the biggest clue, if you want to call it that maybe they're getting a little bit of Momo on their side. And if this thing starts getting below 90 bucks, you know, maybe it is the canary in the bear cave that's saying, hey, watch out, we coming. Equities below 39.80, watch out. I think that's a little bit of pressure for the bulls. But we are right on this trend line, the 200. And the way this market just ping pongs up and down, shit, this thing could easily be back above 4,000 next week. This market is real crazy with that kind of shit. So I'm thinking about maybe taking a little bit of long here for next week off of this kind of structure right here, because this could just be liquidation break to the middle of a lot of consolidation, which would be bullish, especially if we get back above that, you know, 39.80, start building above maybe 4K-ish too, you know, then we can start rallying a little bit, and that would be good for other stuff, for all the bulls, like other stuff being like crypto. And then, you know, that meeting is in about 3 weeks. So everyone's going to be focusing on that March 15th Fed meeting. That's when they're going to give you guidance and all their stupid crap that they talk about. And that'll be next week. So, oh, no, I'm sorry, not next week, in 3 weeks. So that's pretty short time. We'll be there before we know it. I think that's it. Rates are creeping up. Watch TNX, man. TNX is staying comfy above 380. Pressure is on. And we do have this little vol flash. So that signals usually giant moves in the equity market in the majors, which it already has. Not giant moves, but I mean, you know, this is significant. It's few, 3-4-ish%. So that's something. But anyway, much love, guys. I hope you all have an awesome, beautiful weekend. Happy Friday, all that good stuff. We'll see y'all again on Monday morning. And until then, this has been No Noise with Z-Rex. I'm signing out. Peace.